What's up, everybody? Gonna try something a little bit new. I feel like I say that at the beginning of every one of my videos. But we got some new stuff here, and probably gonna be in this sort of environment for a bit. And but I still want to get some videos out and try to get some training, some things to think about, and yeah. So I'm not going to necessarily be in front of a console, but I've got MA3 here, and so we're going to take that full screen, and what we're going to do. This might be a series of setting up your show file, and I know there's like this ever elusive thing about setting up the perfect show file in MA period. MA1, MA2, MA3. And MA3 probably has the most flexible and the most options to make a show file that's incredibly flexible and does a billion different things between Lua plugins and phasers and macros and bit mapping. There's so many things that you can do, even just presets in general, being both basically dynamic and static. There's so many ways you can set up your show file. One of the things when I was moving from 2 over to 3 was trying to figure out what's the best way to take advantage of all of the new features and everything that 3 has. My strategy was just to port over and build exactly our MA2 show file in MA3. And some of that was like really just to move over to 3, but also there was this, I wouldn't call it pressure, but just this there's just this desire to take advantage of all of the things that 3 has. And there's never a point where I'm like, no, I'm there. I'm here. We've arrived. So that's where there's just this constantly evolving thing. And you're always going to have that. And I think the most overwhelming thing about MA in general is that. It's so dense, it's so big, it's so vast. There's so many things you can do. There's so many things that you can take, so many routes you can take the show file. There's literally millions of different ways to set up your file, and it becomes very overwhelming for people. And it's like it's too big, it's too much, it's too this, that, and the other. And though that is all true, my approach has been just keep it simple. Have your foundation, have the things that you need, and just build that. The sexy things will come, but you've got to, in order to build the cool thing, you have to have the foundation. So I think that's what we're going to start is just how do we build a good foundational file. And what I will say in 3, they start you off really great. They've got fixture preset, sequence sheet. We'll just kind of pull it. This is a brand new show, and I got a pip. It's pretty cool. So we got a brand new show, and what we can see here is we've got fixture, we've got preset, sequence sheet. Let's just go ahead and click on some of these. So this gives you your fixture list, your presets, your phasers, gives you a nice little 3D, and the help is right there on the it's right there on the page there. So we've got display 1, display 3, and display 2 here. And just for your reference, display 1, if you're on a console, is going to be the screen on the far right of the desk. 2 is the middle, and 3 is the far left. So just for reference, in terms of as I explain how some of these screens are built, that's kind of how I'm working, is from not really from left to right, but from right to left. Cool. Well, so we've got a brand new show file. You know how I did that, just back up, new show, did an MLX show. And what we're going to do is me personally, I don't like these views. I want a fresh show from the start. And what we're going to do before we really kind of dive into, do this, it's like I'm trying to, whenever when I started to approach building the MA3 show file, I wanted to have a strategic approach to how I approached it. Not for me necessarily. I mean, yes, for me, but really, so how do I tell campuses? How do I tell people? How do I articulate, the best way to go about, or really even how to think about the show file? And so the way I kind of break it down is you've got to be able to patch your fixtures. So you have a group, you have a rig, you've got to be able to patch them. You need to be able to keep that organized. You need some sort of housekeeping. Now, you need to be able to select those fixtures, and everybody has their preference. I actually came from, so my console development, I guess, how I, kind of moved through consoles was I started off on an ETC Express 72-144. Is it 72-144 or 74-144? I don't remember. It's a huge console. And it had like 25 or 26 submasters, but it was all faders. It was 144 faders. And you build your scenes, you build your cues, things like that. And then we moved on to an ETC Congo Junior. And that was a great desk. It was a great desk to learn. It's all command line driven. I had really no complaints about the desk. The syntax was a little wonky, but that was my first step into the world of digital lighting and effects. And there's a ton of effects in that console. And that was when we really kind of started moving into the LEDs with the rig. I think we had just bought our first batch of moving lights with that console, and then we were upgrading the room, and we moved on to a Jan's Vista L5. Was just launching at that time, and that's all I'm going to say. I loved the Jan's Vista platform. It was version 2. I loved the layout, the way you interfaced with not only with the console, but from the console to the fixtures, from the brain to my console to the fixtures, just seemed very transparent. And that's something that I really, really loved about the desk. And I'm just going to say what I really loved about it. And then I had constantly been in this, the back of my head, got to learn MA. Because I had a few opportunities pop up where I had to kind of fake my way through it. And I did. And I learned, and I got my way around it. 2017 was when I really started taking MA seriously. And it's when I really began to learn to love the platform, because it's a steep learning curve. I'm not going to lie to you. But anyway, I'm not really here to go on that. But so my journey there's somewhere I was going with that, but I don't remember what it was. But I had started on very analog-driven desks, and then moved to Vista, which the idea of selecting your fixtures, because when you patch your fixtures in Vista, this is where it was. So when you patch your fixtures, when your need to select them, some people are very command line, fixture 1 through whatever at type it in. I'm a very select my fixtures, then give them information, then give them assign attributes, information to them. So that style for me really came from Vista, and I didn't know at the time that MA even had anything like that. I thought it was back to a fixture, 101 through 110 at full, and then you can select your colors from there with encoder wheels. But, because then you had to think through your groupings and things like that. Well, once I learned about layout views, that sort of became my default for how we build out or how I interface with the rig on MA. So that's where where my approach is when it comes to selecting fixtures. So you need a patch, you need to keep them organized, you need to be able to select them. So I'm a big fan of layout views. And then you need to be able to assign information to those to your fixtures. You need quick access to your, which I may makes it really easy with the encoder wheels. Assign information to your attributes, and then you need to take that information that's now in the programmer and store it to something. It could be a preset, could be a sequence. And really, those are the two biggest things. It might be recipe, might be phasers, might be a number of different other things, but those are kind of the two main things: presets and sequences. And then you can kind of reference some other things throughout the show. So, but those, I kind of broke those down into those main buckets of, you need to patch your fixtures, you need to be able to select them, you need to be able to give them information, and you need to be able to store that information for later playback. And then number 5 is you need to be able to play that information back in a number of different ways. Excuse me. So that's sort of the journey, and we're probably not going to get to all of them. We might only get through one on this video. I don't want this to be super long. So, goodness, we're already at 11 minutes. So let's go ahead and go into the screen. Oh, yeah, we got the help here. So what I want to do is the help menu up. So I'm going to go ahead and delete all screens. And in version 2, I'm using the latest version. You can see up there, 2.0.2.2. I'm just going to go ahead and delete all of these views. I like to start fresh. Let's go into patch. So we're going to talk about patch. Let's go ahead and patch in some fixtures. We're gonna patch in some Showfile fixtures. I'm a big fan of I like Showfile. They're not, they're no sponsor or anything, but I like them. So we're gonna do MK. Yeah, let's do the MK2 spot. That's a good meat and potatoes fixture. And this is something that I will do when I use the spot fixture. I'll almost always choose the lower channel count, because most of the time, anything that is in those is typically going to be fine information or something that I don't really need. If I really, if the motors are super, steppy, or there's something super weird, I'll jump to the bigger one. But most of the time, I'll start with the smaller one, and then I've never had any issues with it. So anyway, so I'll do the 24 channel count. You can rename it. Kind of gives you a very confusing name. We're just going to name these, and give me 12 of these. Fixture ID. So this is something where your housekeeping comes into play. So your housekeeping is important when it comes to, particularly if you may have multiple campuses, you have multiple venues you're managing, have a standard fixture naming convention. So for my spotlights, I will like to start at 201, because most of the time I'm going to have key light, which will be 101, or maybe I have some conventionals as a start, and in the before 100. So fixture 201, patch. We're not really worried about the patch right now. We're just going to create it. We got our fixtures, and let's do a new fixture. Again, we're going to go with Showfile because we like them, and we're going to do an R2. Actually, yeah, we're going to do an R2X wash. This one, honestly, this is something that is super annoying. So it's 54 channel, 36 channel. So I don't know why there's a question mark here. You can obviously see, but that's just a pet peeve of mine. I don't remember off the top of my head what channel count is best and which one each has. I think 33 channel is a safe one. In our instance, yeah, let's just do, in our instance, we're going to do the 15 channel, just because we just want them to be color washes. We're not doing anything fancy with them right now. Maybe we'll go back later. Again, I want to start my washes at 301, and I'm actually going to rename these R2X. Oops, R2, oh man, I can type wash, almost spelled it. R2X wash. And let's go ahead. Yep, that's great. Patch is fine. And let's go ahead and patch those. So I didn't patch that, the amount. Now let's go ahead and add those back in. Showfile in my show. So this is something that's nice is it actually shows you what's in your show. So you can go back in. Let me grab that 15 channel and let me actually add another 11 of them. R2X wash. Yep, I'm going to start at 302. Great. So this is something that is, so we got 301. We'll deal with that later. So something that is like, okay, you just have a whole line here of fixtures. So MA, go in here to library, type in MA lighting, has these, where's it at? MA lighting has these, interesting. Why are they not there? MA, or I wonder if it's it might be in the generic. If you just type in grouping, yeah, it's in the generic. That's my bad. Generic grouping, select, and we're going to do 2 of these. And I just leave the default there. We'll change the fixture ID in a minute. So what we're going to do is we're going to change this to 200, and we're going to change this to 300. And what we're going to actually rename these, see, 200 is spots, and group 2, these are going to be washes, plural. And what we're going to do is we're going to organize, so you see you can put new fixtures under each of those. So in 2, you had, you could basically assign, it was like layers, I believe. It's been a minute since I've been in 2. But I think it was layers, something where you could have, you could kind of do the same thing where you could organize all of your, so I would just put the fixture type, and then I would do the fixtures in each one of those. So in this case, we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to grab all of our spots. We're going to cut, go down here, spots, paste. So now we got 201 through 212, and then now we've got our washes. We're going to do cut, go in a new fixture, and paste them. So now we've gone from a whole list, a huge list of stuff, to only having spots and washes, which we can drill down into menus, and we can see very quickly, very easy, keep everything organized. So, yep, save and exit. Now, we don't have anything here. I like to organize everything by if you just break it down into sources, destinations. So my source is going to be my fixtures. Destinations are going to be presets, sequences, are going to be those 2 things. Even like phasers to a degree. Those are kind of also in presets. So again, we're in screen 1. How I like to work when I've got my screen 1, and I've got at least screen 2. If you're ever working in MA, you know how infuriating it is if you only have one screen. So I would highly recommend you have 2 screens. Maybe I'll do one later of like something that kind of makes efficiency of one screen. But for the sake of this video, we're going to be talking about sources. So my sources, because I like to have my left hand free if I'm on a console to hit buttons, and my right hand I like to have free to make selections. So the way I build it is I keep my sources, which is my fixtures, on screen 1, which is what we have here. So what we're going to do and you can just touch anywhere in the black, the black space here. And what we're going to do is we're going to create so we want a layout viewer. So this is our layout. And then we are going to build data pools, layouts. So this is kind of the first thing that I built. I don't really put it in group one. Or no, actually that's not true. I do. I put it here in layout. I thought I put groups down here in the second one. So my layout's always up here. So it's the first thing that's at the very top because it's the thing that I kind of keep open the most. So something that we're going to do is fixture is already selected by default. So let's go ahead and drop our spots in 201 through, we got 12 of them. So we're going to do 212, please. And what we can do is swiping down store. No. I'm trying to get too fancy. Fixture 201, 201 through 212, please. It's actually a sign, I think. A sign here. So that's if you're on 2, if you're running on mode 2, it's actually going to be store. Because you're actually storing that new information. The fixtures are being stored into a new place, whereas in 3, you're actually taking those fixtures and assigning them to a layout view. So it's a little bit different syntax. Something I like to do right out of the gate, I like to set my background to red, and I like to do a grid style of lines, and then I save that. So that just becomes saved as my kind of my default layout view setting, and we can let's do MLX layout default. Save. Cool. And then what I do is I just like to, because it gives me these nice little cubbies to put my fixtures in. It's real nice. And I know I can do a grid and make things easier. We only got 12 fixtures here. Cool. So setup, and then what I'll do is I will do one more store just to lock that in. And let's actually go in and is there a label on here? Yeah. Do spots. So now we're going to grab fixture 301 through 312, please. And we're going to do assign here. So now we got our R2X washes. And now in theory, because it should be set as default, this should, which it did, come up with my default layout view, or layout basically parameters with the red lines. And we got just a real basic rig. Again, we're going to line these up. So this is kind of my sources. This is where I build everything that I want quickly. And go ahead and label this washes. Cool. Setup, and we're just going to do a store real quick. And I don't know if this is actually laid out the way that I want, so we're going to store this one more time. Layout. Cool. So when we kind of bounce between the two, we're good. And let's go ahead and just clear our programmer. So that's a way to quickly, I can grab my fixtures. I can see, see them clearly there. I've got both of them. And yeah, so that's kind of sources. Now, what we can do also, if we really wanted to make this efficient, if we were running on, let's say we were running on one screen, you may want to do I think it's data pool groups. Do a group pool right here. We'll just go ahead and store that real quick. And then you can do this is something that I want to make a note of. If you're not on version 2 yet, this is a really, really cool, and I'm going to actually take this full screen so you can kind of see over here. I'm going to just quickly build a selection grid over here. Let's zoom that out. So I want to make a note. This is something that it really messed me up when I moved to version 2, but this is actually super valuable, very important, very helpful. So you have your selection, your layout view over here. So when you select your fixtures, so you see the blue dot is at, it's at, 0, 0. Okay, cool. You have this selection mode right here. So you have two selection modes. You have 2D grid and you have linearize. Linearize is what you're most familiar with. So when I select fixtures and I go like this, it's going to put them all in a row. So it's going to be 201, 207, 202, 208. So it's doing do, just like this. Or if you want to select them in order like that, let me clear the selection. 201 through 206, 207 through 212. Now you have it right in a row. Well, when you're doing symmetrical effects or you're doing, or phasers, excuse me, or you're doing things like that, before you had to clear everything out. You have one here, so I want 201 here, but now I want to put 207 here, and then I want 202 here, and it's super tedious going back and forth, back and forth. Well, MA and their brilliance created 2D grid. So you see my square there. When I go and I do a marquee selection, boom, builds it for you. And then you can store this as a group. So we can store this as a group and do label. And I would call this spot SYM for symmetrical. So when I'm trying to do symmetrical effects, I can grab that one. And then you can also do a, let me actually clear the programmer there, and then we can do another selection of spot linear. I'm not going to, you kind of get the idea, but this is super important to take advantage of 2D grid and linearize because it helps you build these layouts, these selections really, really quickly. And it's very convenient, very nice, very, very fast. And it can be something that can save you quite a bit of time later. But this is a source, and then groups would be another destination, but also doing presets, sequences, that kind of thing is also a destination. So we're getting a little bit long on this one. But yeah, I think we're going to make this a... So let's just recap real quick. We got a patch. So we've set our groups, 200 spots. That has no patch information. There's nothing there. It's purely there to be an organizational tool. We can go into fixture types to some of these other. I haven't touched dimmer curves, but anyway, so you keep an organized patch. Keep a 200, 300, 400, 500, 600. What I like to do is I like to allot, just depending on each fixture type gets 100 designation. So if you've got batten fixtures, they're going to be those are my batten fixture ID. That could be 500. And then, but what I try to do is either put, if I have any rental fixtures, put those in like 900 or not 900. Start those at 1,000. So anything that's in 1,000, I just build that. I know exactly where those go. I know exactly what fixture IDs they get. Standardizing these sort of things really helps streamline any sort of process that you may have. And then also, if you have other systems at campuses or other venues, you can export this stuff. As long as your fixture IDs are good, it gets you about 85, 90% of the way there with programming. And then, so keep your patch programmed, your programming clean. And then this would be your sources. Take the time, build your layout views, take advantage of the 2D grid, have a selection grid view built so you can see exactly what it's doing, making sure it's doing what it's doing, and take advantage of the 2D and linearize, and just make your selection. It saves you seconds, but seconds, add up. and it's, sometimes you hate just constantly dragging your finger to like just select the group, build the group, select the group. But I'm also super guilty of sometimes it's just easier to select. But yeah, these are your sources. And then I think on the next video, we'll just talk about destinations, and we'll talk about how to build, kind of your best practices on building preset views, some strategies I've employed, and yeah, we'll go from there. So hope this helped. MA is a super dense and super capable system, but it can kind of come across super scary, and I promise you it's not. I promise you it's a lot of fun once you break through a few things and kind of get your head wrapped around some foundational concepts and some basics. It can be really fun, and you're going to be thinking about it at night, and you'll be like, oh man, what if I did that? At least that's what I do. Is like, if I move that here, if I build this screen, then maybe I could build a macro that does da-da-da-da. There's so many routes that you can go. Or maybe I can optimize my color by if I do this, and then I build another layout view. And then also even thinking through organizing things and taking advantage of, making sure like all of your numbers are making sense in how they are in the layout view, so you can have some easy navigation and just have order in your show file. So it's big, it's capable, and it comes across super intimidating, but I promise you it's not if you just take it step by step. And that's that might be the goal of this series, is just bite size, go through each thing and just take it one step at a time. Thanks, everybody.